Equality between men and women, and also people's misperceptions of feminism. People thinking that it means hating men or like women being superior to men, which is not what it is.
Probably what a lot of people think about equality.
Oh, I don't know, I'm not a feminist. As odd as that might sound, I don't think anything of it. It just sort of flies by. I know people think that's odd because I am a woman. I probably should be a feminist, but I don't think there's one word that I can use to define it.
Controversial? I'm going to go with controversial. Just it seems fairly all-encompassing in terms of feminism. It's constantly in debate.
My beliefs. What are they? About feminism? Okay. Well, the social and political equality of men and women. In some, yeah.
Feminine sexuality. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
Equality.
And equality in what sense?
Or in that, well, I guess the word kind of raises the question, like feminism are men and women equal or not? That kind of, I guess, yeah.
A movement for equality between males and females. It's got so many complexities, but generally a movement for equal rights for both men and women.
That's a really difficult question. I guess equality, because that's what feminism is really. So yeah, just equality.
Basically equality between men and women in terms of jobs and socially and just money and everything, really.
Yeah, definitely. Again.
Yeah.
No, I'm not a feminist.
Yes.
Well, I respect feminism, but I hear some other people commenting other things. So I always take that into account, but I never actually discuss what feminism is because it's one of those topics that most people try to avoid. Because in my vocabulary, I don't actually have a lot of things to say about feminism because I don't know about the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say everyone should be a feminist, definitely.
I'm a feminist in the way that I think that everyone should be equal and have equal opportunities, but I'm not so into feminism that I describe myself as a feminist artist or activist or anything like that.
I think technically I would have to class myself as a feminist, although I wouldn't really want to use the word feminist to describe myself either, because I think that it should kind of be more of a passive thing than thinking, oh, I am a feminist. No, I'm kind of more towards the side of thinking, I don't know, you want to be like a humanist or whatever word you want to say. I think putting femme at the start of it is a mistake to begin with.
Yeah, well, I think it is, but if I bring it up, I get a lot of, oh, no, you know, so.
I do, but I feel that when it's brought up, or a lot of women, especially I think young women are quite afraid to say they are a feminist.
I do. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with everything to do with feminism. Maybe that's because I already believe that a lot of things that go on in this generation we are quite equal. With men as well, there are things that I think women do that men also do, and vice versa. So I do think it is a necessary topic for a lot of people out there. It makes sense, but I suppose it's never really affected me at all in my life, so I've never had to worry about it.
I think it can definitely still have some positive effects because full gender equality still isn't an established thing.
Most of the time, yeah. Personally, I think it's a positive topic, but that's because the way I think about feminism. But I've been involved in debates where people think feminism is negative, so...
If you talking about feminism, if you know about feminism, it's something that you can talk about. But if you don't actually have a voice in it. But if you want to learn, it's all completely fine. You just hear, but do not disagree with someone that actually knows about it.
But yeah, I wouldn't be shy to say that. I think any uncertainty in raising that in conversations comes from people. I still feel like people very much misunderstand, like miss the point, and I guess it means different things for different people as well. Different people will call themselves feminists, but maybe live that out in very different ways. So it's just it's a little bit. The word on its own is a little bit, for me, it has a very clear idea for me, but I think that's different with every person. And then, so when you say feminism or feminist in a conversation, it's kind of sometimes you're not really sure what you're talking about with the person who you're using that word with.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. And I think it's becoming more positive, because I think it went through a bit of a negative phase, and I think now it's becoming more, the word's becoming less. I think there's kind of a misconception of the word, and I think it's becoming more of a positive word at the moment, which is good, and it needs to become more of a positive.
I think that I see it as a positive topic, but I also see how people have taken it too far and taken it to the point where it gives kind of a negative aspect on it. So I think I can see both points of view, but I do see feminism as a positive topic.
Yeah, because it keeps kind of changing. Like, I wouldn't say first wave feminism is as relevant as it was, but it kind of grows with the way society grows.
Definitely, yeah.
I do, but I don't believe it's as relevant now as it was a long time ago. Like I said, I think that a lot of what goes on in today's society doesn't affect men and women. I suppose I already think it's quite equal already. I know there's certain things like pay and things like that and hours and whatnot that some women would say that they would prefer to do. And they would turn around and say that they are competent in doing it, but no one's saying that they can't. So I suppose it is... I just think that women are given the opportunity to do things that men can do. No one's saying that they can't. So, for example, if a woman wanted to be a construction worker, no one's saying that they can't do it. But if they chose to, then they choose to. But yeah,
I do still think it's relevant because, like I said, things aren't entirely equal, and I think that everybody should have the same. If somebody's, let's say, qualified for a job, they should have the same chance as somebody else with the same qualifications of a different gender.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely, more than ever. And I think a lot of people think that feminism isn't particularly relevant these days and that we're kind of past it. But, I mean, there still isn't equality. Like, wages are still not equal. You can see through the ridiculous disparity in women going through art school and women having exhibitions. The percentages are just completely off kilter. And, yeah, so it's definitely relevant today.
I think it's definitely still relevant, possibly not in a lot of ways. Because obviously it's got a lot better in the last even 20 years. It's got a lot better, but I still think it's relevant. Yeah.
Equal opportunities, but still, I think you can give everybody equal opportunities, but there still needs to be some consideration as to people are able to do. Like, there are some some studies show there are traits which men or women have, which are, you know, they're one up on the other one, and I think that things like that need to be taken into consideration as well, instead of just trying to fill a quota of male to female positions on a board, for example.
Tough question. I would have to say equality is something that goes out of the ordinary. It's something that you look and it's something you not expect. It's something that you look and you see if it's quality or not. So I'll give an example. If you see a piece that is actually quality for what it is, but not for what it's meant for, it's a bit of a sideways quality. So it's a bit, I would say, 50-50. I wouldn't really know how to explain that one.
I like to think I believe in equality in all aspects, not just gender. I believe like every sort of human should be treated with the same amount of respect, sort of thing. I guess. Yeah.
The same rights and opportunities, the same level of respect, any regard for people. I think there's kind of a equality. I think there's a basic kind of regard and respect that all people should have the right to and should have, and that if that was there, that would filter through all of our systems, and we wouldn't have things like gender inequality and race inequality, and it's an ideal, and I think we're quite far away from it in many places in respects, but yeah, equality is, yeah, it's a good thing. It's what we should be striving for.
Equality for me is just people treating each other exactly the same regardless of any other features they may happen to have. So whether that's their race or their gender or their age, that's just kind of completely ignoring all those things and just treating each other as complete equals.
That's a tough question because it's different for everyone. What do you mean by identity?
Like, how would you define your own identity?
I'm not even really sure. I've not figured that one out yet.
I don't know, I guess like you kind of would think of like being since British or white, but I kind of wouldn't think that anyway. But yeah, it's a hard question to answer because does anyone know? Unless you kind of mainly think of appearance.
That's a tough one. I don't like to talk about myself in that way. Define me. I don't know. The only words that spring to mind is if I was to talk about myself would be things like confident. Is that what you mean? Things like that. Okay, I suppose confident, honest, loyal. I wouldn't. Yeah, I'm just a normal person. I don't think I have anything different than anyone else. I don't know how to define myself because I'm a bit of here and there, a bit of this and that.
It's hard to kind of, just define yourself like that. I don't know. Because I was actually asked this yesterday. I don't know, maybe just relaxed. Just, relaxed personality. How do I define myself? I guess I do use race to define myself in some ways. I like that kind of gives you a foot in another pool, and is a little bit different. I suppose it's fun. I'm not really sure how I define myself.
I don't know. Sorry. I don't know. I don't like labeling like myself. Otherwise I just use stupid things like Welsh and student and stuff. Sorry, I don't.
Well, my identity is simple. I'm not a very complex guy. I don't like to overthink things. I always think to a point that I learn throughout everything that I think. So my thinking process is quite, not at the same time I said it's not complex, but it is. Because I think in different languages. So my identities, I would say, is two identities that think different ways. Because my way of thinking in Portuguese is completely different than the way I think in English. So that comes into a very weird conclusion sometimes, even in the way I speak. I don't know if that helps.
My identity, I don't know. I'm really not sure how to answer that. Maybe as a woman, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you're asking. Yeah, well, you're asking me stuff that I'm currently trying to work out in my own practice. So, that's all of these questions are quite. We could go on, could sit here and have a long, lengthy discussion, but I don't know if words can define what I feel is my identity. It's kind of what I'm looking at the moment, so yeah. I don't know how to answer that with words.
Okay. What would they be? Well, I'm an artist. I think that's quite an important thing. I often find myself defining myself through my diet because I'm vegan, and so that's quite an irregular thing. And as much as it's not a personality choice, it's kind of indicative of some personality traits. So it's kind of, I don't know. I guess I feel like I have to tell people that as a defining characteristic because it's quite a strange thing. So yeah, that's kind of one of them. I guess I would define myself as a woman. So as much as I was saying equality is something that might be nice to get away from those characteristics, it is something I define myself through. I guess, do you want nouns or kind of or descriptions?
Nouns, anything you feel.
I guess I define myself as quite confident and outgoing. I like making friends, and for my work, which I'm just about to go to, I have to supervise a call room. So at the moment especially, I'm kind of trying to get into being quite authoritative, which is something that's a little bit new for me, but it's something which I'm really enjoying, and I think I would like to now kind of define myself as confident, which is something I wouldn't have used to have done. But, yeah.
I think gender is an important part of your identity. If I was to describe my identity to anyone, I think I'd describe my gender, my age, like my occupation as like an art student, and then possibly my hobbies. But I think gender and age are probably fairly like up there. I think it's probably because when anyone's talking about themselves, they seem to be predominantly the things that people say first. So it's more of a force of habit than me really thinking about what defines me, because I don't think my gender or my age particularly define me, but it's just one of the first things that you say on, like, I don't know, when you're talking to someone, when you're going to know someone, or job applications or anything like that.
My gender, I guess, not feeling like I present myself the way I should as a woman, and not feeling comfortable with being a woman, and that kind of affecting everything I do, because it's a part of me that I don't really like and don't want it to be a part of me, but then it's kind of inescapable.
And where do you think that stemmed from?
Probably the way women are perceived, and the fact that I don't live up to society's expectations of what a typical woman is, but also that, yeah, I'll get shit for not trying to be a woman, or you know what a woman should be, but then I disagree with most ideas of what a woman should be anyway. So.
I'm not sure actually. I probably do have one, but I can't think of one. Oh my god, that is a hard question. I don't know.
No, what am I insecure about? I suppose I struggle with trust, I suppose, if that's what you're asking. Trust is such an important thing, I think, for me. But I don't know. I suppose based on what I've experienced in my life, it's had its ups and it's had its downs. And I think most of that is based on the relationship you have with people. And yeah, I just believe that trust is something that I will have always worried about and probably will always worry about. I feel like it's an important thing, whether it's to do with family, friends, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It's, yeah, I suppose, yeah, just for me that is trust.
I don't know. General embarrassment, humiliation, the threat of humiliation. I suppose. Yeah, that's what will get me the most riled up in one way or another. But I guess that's a pretty transferable thing, because you could, I don't know, you could put some kind of like faith in something, and it could completely fall flat, and that could be a way that you'll be humiliated because it'll be completely your own fault, and you've just fucked up. I don't know. Or it could be, tripping on a crack in the pavement and falling flat on your face. So yeah.
I don't know. Sorry, don't know if that's a bad answer, but yeah, no, I can't think of anything that like comes to the top of my head straight away. I've got a lot of little insecurities, but they don't like really affect me too much to think of them as like a great thing or something. So.
I would say my background. I would say it's my background because it's one of the things that might block me in the future for whatever reason it may be. It's just my background that I have.
And why do you think that?
Because coming from a country that's not very well portrayed to be a great country, and through my education it's not well seen as well, so it's quite debatable in terms of like, you went to that type of school, and it's a bit, you get faced with different images, they paint different images of you because either the education or my background. That's why that's one of my biggest fears, my background.
Oh God. Sometimes I don't have any. I push them all away, but maybe that, like, I'm really bad at reading, so like maybe that I'm like, my vocabulary is really small as well. I can't think of the words I want to use, so that's kind of, I always think that makes me seem really thick. Maybe that, potentially.
Being inadequate, being being inadequate at doing a job, being inadequate in relationships, or in explaining myself, or just not. I guess it's the distance between how you want to be active and and received and how, or perceived, and how you actually are perceiving that yourself. Yeah.
I think my greatest insecurity is other people judging me on kind of my intelligence. So a recent example, which is quite interesting to look at, is I posed for a life drawing class, and then I had to give a really short group presentation in front of 50 people. And for the life drawing class, I was butt naked and I was absolutely fine. I was not nervous in the slightest. And when I had to give a group presentation, I only had to talk for a couple of minutes in front of about 50 people. I went to pieces. I was just completely all over the show. And I think it's because I'm a lot more insecure about what's in my brain than I am about my body, because I've come to terms with my body, and it's kind of what comes out of my mouth that is my biggest insecurity, I think.
I don't have that many like insecurities that I can pinpoint, but probably the times that I feel most insecure are the times that I feel like I'm not intelligent enough to be in a conversation or in anything. So I think probably intelligence is a big insecurity of mine. Like, I'm very conscious of it.